You should not domesticate tree frogs. No, I feel like we did more harm than good in doing that. Even not physically harming the animal, it's still abuse. There's like a power relationship going on where the owner has all the power. I eat a lot of chicken and beef and pork and fish. Ideally, I would buy everything organically or, sourced ethically. That is a very tricky question because it's for my own needs, for selfish reasons. And soybeans is equally terrible for the world. I'm so used to eating this way, and it's because my mom eats this way and her mom eats this way. I also think that's a difficult question. I would feel guilty eating a dog. I would not feel guilty about eating farm animals. The world does not care about that sort of thing, and the people who believe that, they don't have the power to.
How about you? Do you care about those sort of things? Hi everyone, this is Sheena, and today I'm here with Emma, and we're talking about animals. How are you?
I'm doing very good today.
So what do you think about animals? Are you an animal lover?
Of course, I have had many animals in my life. Right now I have a cat, but I live not with my parents right now, but with when I used to live with them, we have like up to 3 cats. We've had a dog, a tree frog, multiple hamsters, a bunny. So we've had a lot of pets.
Never met anyone with a tree frog.
Oh, you should not domesticate tree frogs. No, for sure. It was not right of us to do that, for sure.
Why do you say that?
We didn't know how to properly care for it. So I feel like we did more harm than good in doing that.
It seems you have a lot of empathy for animals as well. You were saying about the tree frog, that maybe they shouldn't have been domesticated. Maybe, would you say it maybe wasn't what was in the animal's best interest?
Oh, for sure. And it's not like we took it from its natural environment, we got it from a pet store, but their natural habitat is tropical, and so coming to Canada, it's not able to adapt and survive like the way it should in its natural environment.
You see that a lot in pet stores, don't you? Animals that really shouldn't be there. What do you think about animal abuse or people who abuse animals?
I'm against it. I feel like some people shouldn't have animals, but it's so normalized to just I could do it. Like anyone could do an animal, raise an animal or take care of an animal, but that's not true. It takes so much work and so much effort to properly, give love and care to an animal. Especially like a dog. Like you have to walk a dog multiple times a day, and some people just aren't equipped to do that. So even not physically harming the animal, it's still abuse, not being able to meet the animal's needs.
So you think even if we're not clearly abusing an animal in the traditional sense of the word, which is to cause unnecessary suffering to them, that even by not taking on the full responsibility of providing basic care is still an abuse. Is that right?
Yes, just to not be able to provide the proper environment for a pet, it's still abuse because you're forcing them into that environment, right? So
you've brought them into that environment, right? And they're would you say they're there because of you?
Yeah, and there's like a power relationship going on where the owner has all the power. They provide food, shelter, warmth, love, and they could easily take that away. And the animal depends so much on the owner for this.
Exactly. Okay, the third question is a little bit trickier. Now, there's no judgment here because I myself paid for it for a very, very long time. Are there any industries where you pay for animals to be confined, abused, and eventually killed? And by that I mean, do you consume meat, dairy, eggs, and fish?
I do. Even my jacket, it's with goose feathers. And like this jacket, I bought it used, and I've had it for over 3 years now. So I feel bad about buying it, but I wouldn't get rid of it because that would just create more waste. But there's so many industries where they do unnecessary harm, like winter coats. It's winter right now, and there's the coats with the fur on the hood, and it's just it's all vanity. There's no necessary reason to kill these animals for it. And a lot of the animals, they're killed and then they're just taken for what is seen as valuable, but then the rest of them is just discarded.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so obvious, isn't it, when it's something like a fur trim coat or even a goose, feather down coat, which I totally understand. I can see that you're conscious about the issues, that when it's secondhand and you've bought it, perhaps it's not so bad and it's not something that you would go and buy a new item for, which means they have to then kill more geese to get more items made. But what about the foods that we eat? Which animals do you eat?
I pretty much eat everything, like meat, dairy, but I try to be conscious about where I get it from. It's not always easy when, as I'm a student, so I'm on a tight budget, but it's not always easy to source where I get my food from because I am also thinking about the cost. Ideally, I would buy everything organically or, sourced ethically. I would even eventually like to go vegetarian, vegan, but I just don't have the resources right now to be able to cook for myself, like complex recipes and, things like that. But so I think the effort really counts in this instance, but not everyone has the resources to be able to commit.
I think here in Toronto, we're very, very lucky. Like even here in the food court right now, most of the restaurants here, even the fast food restaurants, all have vegan options. So you mentioned a few things there. So you were saying about if the animal is produced kind of ethically, or what we consider to be ethical. As somebody who is an animal lover and you're conscious about what animals go through, would you say that there is an ethical way to kill an animal that doesn't want to die?
That is a very tricky question because I would be speaking for the animal, and obviously I don't know what it is like to be them, what it's like to be held in captivity and then killed for someone else. To catch 22, I don't think there would ever 100% be a humane way to kill something else. And am I choosing this food because I need sustenance or because I like the way it tastes?
And why do you do it?
I do enjoy food. I find it very difficult to separate myself between just eating to live and eating for pleasure. So I find I can't, that's why I can't go 100% vegan or 100% vegetarian, because I don't have the resources or the self-restraint to do that.
It's amazing. And I really, really appreciate your honesty. Food is such an inherent part of who we are. It's an inherent part of our family, our culture, even our daily habit. It's the first thing that we learn how to do, really. And it's tied to very, very many different things. Which animals do you eat the most?
I eat a lot of chicken and beef and pork and fish.
Can I show you a quick video on the pork industry?
Sure.
How did that video make you feel?
Traumatized. It's very sad. Very surreal.
So we don't get told these things, do we? When we are given these products from when we're younger. We don't really know this, and very much it's hidden from us. The labels on the package, local, humane, those are really labels to make us feel better about our purchases. For the animal that's suffering, it doesn't mean a whole lot to them. And in some ways, for free range anyway, could be even considered more cruel if you had a free human or one that was enslaved their whole life and you took the free human's life. It's still the taking of a life unnecessarily. Would you think that would be true?
Yes. And to the thing you said, it's sort of like greenwashing, where it's just like performative display that they put on this packaging to make other people feel better, to justify their purchase. And like a lot of people think like, oh, like I'm buying this ethically, even though I might not be, but they feel good about themselves because they can justify it. Very exploitive. Um, it's all about money to the industry that raises these animals that has no concern for their well-being. Not like a zoo, even though like most zoos they say like they're doing it to protect these animals. It's still not their natural habitat. They're still not happy.
It's still not what's best for the animal. Marginally best than factory farming or even local farms, but right, still not best for the animal. Before you said keeping any animal, even if we're not mistreated, would you consider what you saw in the video to be abuse with the cutting, pulling out of the teeth, the cutting of the tails?
And it's all because it makes them more docile, easier to deal with, not because they need to, but so that it's easier for the worker, or so that they, don't harm the product, sort of thing.
Do you think a pig is any less capable of suffering than a dog or a frog or a cat or a rabbit? Do you think pigs and cows and chickens feel the same pain as a dog or a cat or a rabbit would?
I think all animals are equal. They just have more value, or their pigs are seen as less because they can be used, or they're seen as a thing because we consume it, and not as a part of the family because we don't necessarily consume and like household pets.
Yeah, we're conditioned to think of some animals as pets and more worthy of living than the animals that we use for food. Do you think an animal's life should be determined by their ability to be domesticated?
No. And the world is not care about that sort of thing. And the people who believe that, they don't have the power to.
How about you? Do you care about those sort of things?
I do care about it. I do. But again, I'm still going to eat meat. I mean, I feel bad about it, but I'm able to compartmentalize the part where I know that what I'm doing is wrong, or that what I'm doing is contributing to like another living being's suffering, because it's for my own needs, for selfish reasons.
Would you be willing to learn more about how to replace different meat products if you would consider transitioning, how you can cook the same things that you like to eat now, maybe eat the same things that you like to eat? In Toronto, we have so many good plant-based options. A lot of people can't tell the difference with many of them, especially with like the burgers, some of the plant-based chickens you can't really tell the difference with. Would you be willing to try those things as an animal lover?
I do try and do some substitutions, like milk for like a plant-based milk. I do know that a lot of things are made from soybeans, and soybeans is equally terrible for the world because it's such like the way that they make soy and the way that they produce it and transport it. It's so terrible for the environment. So there's not really any better to do one versus the other, because one is harming living things, but the other is harming the earth.
Where do you think most of the soy production goes to?
It goes towards feeding animals.
I guess when we're eating animals that are also being fed soy, a lot of it goes to chicken, for chicken feed. But we're eating, it's a very bad use of our water, of our food. So we're feeding all the soy, grains, and cereals. Most of that's going to livestock. And it's a very, very bad use of our land. Did you know we could reduce 75% of agricultural land if the world switched to plant-based agricultural system?
I did not know that.
And 80% of the soy that's produced in the world is fed to livestock. Even just in the Amazon, it's closer to 90% of the soy produced in the Amazon is fed to livestock.
There is a lot of waste, a lot of food waste, because grocery stores have certain standards that they want to keep. Like, oh, this carrot doesn't look right. We have to throw it out because people don't like the look of it. even though it's still perfectly edible. Like about 1/3 of all food in Canada is wasted.
Food waste is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. It's the amount of methane emissions that come from food waste is huge. But on the soy topic, if you said you're concerned about the environmental impacts of soy, the biggest way we can reduce our carbon footprint, and this is done by Oxford University, is by adopting a plant-based diet.
It's very reasonable to think like, oh, it would be so easy just to go and do plant-based eating. But I think it would be very difficult to transition when I've been conditioned like this my whole life, when I don't know how to cook plant-based, when I don't have the money to buy solely plant-based foods. I'm so used to eating this way, and it's because my mom eats this way and her mom eats this way, and everyone is just conditioned to think like this and to eat like this. It would be very difficult to transition.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be really hard too. I'm the only vegan in my family. I thought it was going to be really hard, but honestly, it was been one of the easiest decisions and the easiest transitions, because I basically just replaced all the animal products that I was eating with the plant-based version. And that's, you do that for a little bit of time, and then you go on to eating more kind of whole food plant-based. So as you're eating more of the plant-based, you're increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables. Do you like beans?
I do.
So with the more you're eating fruits and vegetables, tofu, tempeh, beans, nuts, and seeds, your taste for the plant-based meats or the fake meats or whatever they call them really decreases. And that's when you find the real health benefits, not only health, but the savings benefit kicks in, because plant-based diets are actually 30% cheaper than omnivorous diets. Pescatarian is at the highest, and plant-based diets are 30% cheaper because of the amazing healthy stuff like potatoes, pastas, beans. You can buy a bag of beans for a few dollars and it lasts you forever. A big dried bag of beans, even tinned beans, and you're getting the fiber and you're getting the protein, you're getting all of the nutrients. But it's that is a little bit of a process. But as an animal lover, I ask you one question. If your family tried to serve you dog, what would you say?
I wouldn't. And it's because there's a mental connection with that animal.
Do you think there's a moral difference between eating a dog and eating a pig?
I also think that's a difficult question. Ethically, there's no difference. But morally, I would feel guilty eating a dog. I would not feel guilty about eating farm animals. But that's just the way that I've always thought. And it's very difficult to just change the way that you think.
It's hard. And, it's not about going vegan overnight. Really, very few of us kind of go vegan overnight. We just learn more about it. If I was to give you some resources, would you like to learn more about the ethical impact, kind of show you how the animals are killed, the environmental side of it, the health side of it? Would you like to take some resources?
Sure. I do have to go soon.
Okay. I'll leave you with one question. If you could live in a world where you harmed animals, harmed humans, or neither, which world would you rather live in?
That's a very easy question, and it would be neither.
Do you think being vegan would be more in line with the goal of harming neither?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for me? Okay. Thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.